Today we're gonna move.
Hello, everyone. Without fail, nothing's ever changed.
I have no microphone.
It's right there.
Oh, no, I do. I'm just
So
kidding.
funny.
I'm so sorry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Byte Size Book Club. My name is John. I'm here with...
Alicia.
Meg.
Hey! Today we are doing the long overdue Terry Pratchett, Neil Gaiman, Good Omens.
Yum.
We only read it like 2 months ago, I
Yeah.
think,
It's
at this
beginning of
point.
September.
And I've tried not to go back and watch the TV shows because it's different. So I didn't want to conflate those in my head.
I think I read it longer than that because I remember I was like almost completely done with it. And I was like, I'm almost done with that, or with Good Omens. And then John was like, that's great, but we're doing this other book on Friday. And I was
You
like,
missed
oh,
us
yeah.
shouting about the Lost Girls.
Oh yeah.
Feelings. Lots of them.
Lots of feelings.
It was weird. Although I did watch a book review on Good Omens, and somebody was really excited because Aziraphale is asexual, and they thought that that was an awesome theme for the book. And I'm like, well, he's just an angel. It's not
Yeah.
like a sexual
I mean,
preference.
there's also an entire group of thinking that
That
he
they're
and
in love.
Crowley are in love, and
Well, 100%.
Mhm.
yeah.
So yeah, that's.
I think I would go for that more so than just like.
But they're
he's
not.
asexual.
I mean, they're not male anything. They're.
Yeah, they just take that form. I
Actual
mean, Crowley's a
beings.
snake, isn't he?
Crowley
He's-
literally
he's a
spent
demon.
like what, 10 years as a woman for the kid,
Yeah,
I mean, it
for
doesn't.
Warlock.
yeah. It's just the shape that they take.
What? Are you
Oh.
standing?
I was just making sure the mics were working.
He's really embracing that like serial killer
Yeah.
thing I told him used to do.
I'm just looking off to the side. So, I think it's pretty safe to say that everybody here likes the book.
Oh my
I
gosh,
love that
I love
book.
that book.
Yeah.
I'm in the camp of like a little obsessed. I think.
I mean, it's a great book.
I mean, I feel like people talk about like how it's like one of the funniest books and like the cult moving and even the beginning of. What version did you guys have? Did you have the anniversary version?
No, I don't think so.
I have multiple versions. I've read them all.
Maybe, yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's amazing this book came out when I was 21.
Yeah.
So this book, borderline, barely came out when you guys were children.
I don't know when you were. Well, I guess I can do the
It
math.
came out in
'cause your
92.
birthday's next week. I was
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
I was 7.
Yeah, it's
Well,
amazing. It's amazing that it holds up.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not dated. It doesn't feel dated when you read it.
No. One of my like favorite scenes is when it's such a silly scene, but I love it so much. Is when they're super drunk and they're like, "We should sober up." I
And they
love
just-
it, and they just like shake it off.
Well, I think one of the clever things, and I mean, we can debate whether or not Sir Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman did this on purpose, is you have the whole idea that Adam made the town an idyllic picture from like ages gone by. So like the lack of technology and everything seems to make sense because it's really calling back to what people would consider like a golden age of childhood.
Yeah, they probably didn't think that when they wrote that in the night. I don't. They might have, but yeah.
I mean, I grew up in the
that's very
90s,
true.
and that was just like what
what
life was like. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember my brother got a pager when he was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
So I had a cell phone when I was 16, and I was like one of the only people that had a cell phone.
Well, I got my first cell phone when I was in college. So you figure
Yeah.
they weren't really out.
I remember I only got one because we moved states, and my dad was like, "I'll give you a cell phone so you
Yeah.
can talk to some of your friends, but it has to be after 9 p.m. because that's when it's
Yeah,
free."
weekend minutes or weekends, nights and weekends.
Uh-huh.
That's crazy to think that that was a thing.
Oh yeah, I remember getting in so much trouble because I went over my allotted texting things,
yeah,
and it
it's so
cost
funny.
money.
Caleb still has that issue.
If you think about it though, like as a parent, if I were talking about what an idyllic childhood from my point of view looks like, and my kid tries to copy that because he wants to have that childhood,
Mm-hmm.
then what Adam does makes complete sense, even in a modern setting.
I like the fact that you can relate the book to marketing. So that's what I try to do sometimes. I try to find the marketing angle. So to me,
This
it's
is how we know that John has found his calling.
yeah. So I try to think about marketing, and it's like the attractive character idea of like even the Antichrist, right? Who comes in and he has to become this like charismatic leader, but he just takes the charismatic leader and uses all the bad element and corrupts it. It's pretty interesting.
can't say that I've thought of it from that angle, but I obviously will now and be looking more into that.
Yeah.
So who's your favorite character?
Crowley.
Crowley. Yeah, who's yours?
I don't know.
I thought you were gonna say Aziraphale.
Yeah, me too.
Nah.
That seems like the perfect Alicia character.
Yes, it does. 100%.
It does.
If we were to all take on characters, it'd be Crowley, Aziraphale, and then I would be the witch. I can't think of her name. What is her name?
Agnes Nutter.
Yeah. No,
Which one?
his
one?
like her
yeah,
like
yeah.
Agnes Nutter.
Anathema?
Like,
Anathema.
yeah. I think I would be Anathema.
That's funny.
I love that they named her Anathema. That cracks me up.
Yeah.
It's too. I love the fact that it's like even at the end of the whole thing when you read the whole book, spoilers. The thing that I like the most is that it kind of showed, and I think to me the other thing while I was reading it, it was like this is such a great time to read that book, right? Because it shows you that even if you're on the completely wrong side, the different sides, right? In our country and everywhere around the world, everybody feels like they need to be on a team or take sides. That even if you're on that other side, you can still be friends with somebody who's on the other side and fall in love and give your life for them or try to help them. It's amazing.
Such a beautiful relationship.
It is. They do have a beautiful relationship.
They do. It's wonderful. They're gonna go feed some ducks.
My favorite part of the story is when Crowley traps what's his face in the answering machine. That is the one part
That's
that
awesome.
really
That
does
is
it.
true.
Like,
That is
that's gonna make
fantastic.
sense to people.
Yeah.
That's
Love
great.
that.
Do you think that Crowley and Aziraphale would have gotten vaccinated?
They don't need to because they're.
Yeah, but I mean, like their personality types. Like,
I
would
mean,
they
Crowley
be?
wouldn't. He's out there just winging it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Aziraphale
Aziraphale
would
would have.
The first day.
100%.
He would have gotten
Yeah.
vaccinated the first day.
And then he would have
I-
like been there to like hand out juice to other people.
I see it as Aziraphale would have gotten vaccinated right away and eventually would have drugged Crowley, and
That's
Crowley would
fair.
have only given in because it meant so much to Aziraphale.
That's fair.
See, I feel like, yeah, it would have been something like he wouldn't have originally done it, but he would have found something like it annoyed more people if he did and then like took a long time and held up the lines or something like that.
I really love his broad thinking. Like he tied up the cell towers for,
Yeah.
because that's the anniversary edition. Is Neil Gaiman went back and updated some of the things
Yeah.
to be more modern.
And I think
Yeah.
I've only read that version.
Yeah, it just said he tied up the phone lines.
I
in
was
the
Yeah.
original.
I was about to say something in the beginning, but I also just reread American Gods, and I can't remember if it's the beginning of American Gods or the beginning of that, where he's talking about how I think it's this one, and he's talking about how there's like such a cult following that like some people totally hate the book, but other people like have like one guy showed up with just like the pages like in a bag because his book had been read so many times it literally fell apart.
Yeah,
And he
that
just
was
had all
this
the
one.
pages
Mhm.
and he still got them signed and everything. Okay, so is this book. And I feel like I'm not quite at that level. Like I don't know that I would ever go to any great lengths to get the book signed.
No, I
But
don't
I
care about
definitely
those type of
like
things.
yeah, but I definitely am like a very big advocate. Whenever like the 2 book clubs that I've started, it was like one of the first books that I recommended in both because I feel like it's such a nice like groundbreaking book to read together.
It is. It's also a book, I know I said it, it's a book that holds up. And it's a book that you could still, it was funny, I was listening to Chuck Palahniuk was on Joe Rogan the other day, and they were talking about books that that like will get canceled.
Yeah.
And it's not, I mean, it's a good book through and through. And it's funny, he was saying that, you know, if it's a really good book, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
if it gets canceled. Like there might be things in it that would get canceled, but he doesn't care.
Well,
about
I
that.
mean, just look at Stephen King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, even Chuck, I mean, he's written, I didn't know this, but he's written sequels to Fight Club.
Oh, I didn't know
I've read
that either.
I've read a bunch of his books. He's got a lot of great books. But he's written sequels, and he keeps writing the sequels from different personas. So he'll write it from the female persona, and then he'll write it from Brad Pitt's persona. Like he'll write all these different follow-ups from it. So he's like, I like to play with that. He also likes to be controversial just to like piss people off, which I
Yeah.
like. So he'll like explore things that'll aggravate people.
That's pretty cool. I don't
What
know.
else
I should go
on
back
this
and read
book?
them.
Yeah, Chuck Palahniuk's a really good writer.
I've read some things.
He wrote Choke. Beautiful Disaster. He's written.
I read Beautiful Disasters. I'm trying to think. I feel like I read something else.
Joke's really good. Fight Club's really good.
Should read Fight Club.
Any other commentaries from you guys? This is a pretty easy one because we all liked it.
Yeah. I really love the fact, like, I like Discworld, and I obviously adore other Neil Gaiman books, but I really feel like the two of them together created something that was beyond either of them alone. And I think that's really beautiful.
Well, I think Neil slips into darkness quicker, and this kind of stays.
This lightens Neil up a little bit, and it tethers Terry Pratchett.
I agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
I agree. Which is kind of like, I mean, look at Crowley and Aziraphale. They like definitely bring out, which is like weird to say that a demon could bring out good things from the angel, but like it makes him tolerable as a character. I think if the book was just him, it would have been too preachy.
Well, I think that's life, right? It's the whole point of like you can't just be good.
Isn't there like a line in the book about how they essentially just nullified, like Aziraphale was going around just to nullify what Crowley was doing?
Well, that's what they like decided, that it would make sense. Like if you're zipping up here to do that, you might as well do something good too. Otherwise, it's gonna just like get worn out. So there were times when like Crowley was doing good things and Aziraphale was technically doing bad things, but like it all evened out.
That's a great book.
Yes.
Great
We
book.
highly
Everyone should read
recommend
it.
Yeah, everyone should read it. It's great.
I'll tell you, Once in Future came up last night.
Why?
My sister asked me about it because she was looking for
Did
books
you tell her
with
never
Ace
ever
I
to
think
read
your
the
sister
book?
might like that.
And well, I told her that she was welcome to log into my Audible and borrow it, but not to waste her money.
Yeah, I think she might enjoy that.
Just for anybody listening, you should know that garbage, in my opinion. Just that book was utter garbage, stinking, smelling, trying to be as woke as possible.
Yeah. Well, we had that. So you missed the thing that we talked about last week with Lost Girls, or 2 weeks ago, whatever. So the Lost Girls, I kind of feel like she took that same angle where she tried to take vampires and make them a little more woke. But the book, unlike Once in Future, the book was actually pretty enjoyable to read. There was just infuriating tropes in it.
Yeah.
That kind of made it like just.
She needed a better editor to like close some holes up and like 100 more pages.
Right? Yeah, she needed more pages. She needed more characters.
Which is not something you often say about a writer.
No.
It's not often that you're like, they needed to write more.
More. And the book was, like, it's good. The pacing's good. The writing's good. It's just, there's a lot of holes.
I'm doing the November challenge.
Of what?
Well, you guys were not as excited about my book idea, so I got
Is it?
Maddie, my friend, and I was like, we're going to write this, and we're going to just trim it down to 2 people.
Because
I was like,
to do the story brand.
Yeah, we didn't do the story brand for it.
you were not as excited. And I was like, I'm not going to bug them anymore. So Maddie said he's going to do it. So we're going to meet once a week. And so next week we're doing the overarching of whether it's going to be one book or a series and figuring out all that stuff.
Maybe Alicia and I will
If either of you want
to,
I was going to, or if you guys want to write like a chapter from like the whole point of view, so it's supposed to be different point of view. So if you guys want to jump in here
and there. You can just start writing fan fiction now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
I like it. All right, everyone. So the next book that we are reading is Cujo by Stephen King. That will be in a few weeks.
It's a little weird.
I mean, I've never read Cujo, but it's definitely one of the weirder ones.
I'm pretty sure it's not going to be
I mean,
very
it's
high
just
on
about
my
a killer
list.
dog.
Yeah.
So also a note, that one's going to be in a few weeks. And then December, we are doing a double book club.
Double book club.
Double book club.
On the ocean.
Yeah, so we will be on a company retreat from December. That sounds so culty, and I enjoy that. From December 11th to the 18th.
If there are there are company retreats, are there company attacks?
There should be.
Okay.
So we're going on a company
We
attack.
attack all the time.
And we're going to be reading 11/22/63 by Stephen King and Dune. I forget who wrote. Frank
Herbert.
Herbert. Thank you.
Herbert.
So
I might do that one.
we're going to be reading both of those. I figured we had plenty of time on the cruise to read while we're basking in the thermal suite.
Yes.
The audiobook is a full cast recording and is actually quite delightful.
You might enjoy that. It's like a play.
Maybe that's possible. I'm rereading all of the Harry Potter books right now in preparation of going to Harry Potter World.
Well, that's
so
fine.
I'm on book 3, and I forgot how much I like these books. Like,
They're
don't
so
get me wrong,
good.
J.K. Rowling's terrible, all that stuff. But like, I just
But-
forgot how much
but
I
who
actually like
cares?
reading the books as opposed to just like watching the movie. or
Also,
something.
like you don't need
Yeah.
them. I'm sure there are, of all the authors in the world,
Most suck.
most of them are hateable people.
Yeah.
But it's fine. You can
But
still
yeah.
read their
But
books.
there's so many like little details I
Yeah.
forgot. Like Harry's in the leaky cauldron and the or leaky cauldron, whatever the where he stays, little hotel. And the mirror like talks to him like he's trying to fix his hair, and just like it's a losing battle, buddy. I'm like I forgot that like the
Yeah,
mirrors
it's
talk
a
and
really
stuff.
cute
It's
book.
so cute. But
Yeah.
anyway, so if either of you want to jump on that train,
I don't have the time right now because I'm trying to reread Sailor Moon.
Oh, jeez. Oh, while we're just talking to the world, or 4 people that will watch this, or 165, you never know. This morning, I would like you all to know, including Caleb, that this morning I embarked on a new journey on Netflix.
I'm scared.
I have started watching Vincenzo.
Have you met Ngozi yet?
I haven't, so I'm only like 10 minutes into the first episode.
Okay.
So I've met Vincenzo. He flipped his lighter and set the world on fire.
Wasn't that a great intro?
Great intro. He
I'm
has
gonna end up having to watch
porcelain
this book.
doll-like skin.
Gross.
It's beautiful.
You find out later he's
a
supposed to be
beautiful
like
man.
39 years old.
Jesus Christ, he's like 11. It must be him and all the people in Squid Game are the most beautiful people I've ever seen in my life. So,
He was also in Space Sweepers.
I don't know what that is.
What? We'll have to talk about that.
Okay. But I started watching Vincenzo, which is a Korean Italian mafia show on Netflix.
A side note of just fun other things adding.
Yeah.
So I realized I had never watched Criminal Minds. Neither had Jared. So we've been binging it. We're on like season 6. And I think that's why I hate Penelope so much more than anybody else.
Why?
Yeah.
Because it's like we'll watch like 2 episodes a night or something. And it's just too, like, she's too overbearing. Like, if it was once a week that you were watching an episode or something,
Yeah.
like, maybe it'd be quirky and nice. But, like, she cannot hang up the phone without saying something cringy and terrible. And I'm just like, now I'm like, she's ruining my new favorite show. But I think it's one of those things that, like, it wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't back to back.
I told John that to me, Criminal Minds is in the same category as Law and Order SVU in that you watch it when you're hungover or sick. You can
You watch
fall asleep in one
Law and Order
episode.
SVU when you're sick?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
great show to just lay on the sofa and kind of have
Because
on
if you
in the
fall
background.
asleep during one episode and wake up in another,
It's the same show.
Right,
It's the
yeah,
same
it's
episode.
the same
So
thing.
like,
Yeah.
it's just
It's
it's
easy to catch up
procedural.
with.
It's
Yeah.
a background show. Like I don't think I would ever sit down.
I
and
do enjoy.
watch.
I watched Criminal Minds when it was
Multiple
on
Yeah,
TV.
episodes.
I don't. So Law and Order SVU, I have no interest to watch. I don't think that would be what I'd want to put on when I'm like don't feel well or that I'm sick.
I'm a weird person.
Criminal Minds, I like because they go more into the psychology of the killer, which
Yeah.
I find fascinating. Which is why I dislike Penelope so much because on the episodes where she's not as involved, they actually use the psychology to catch the person.
Sure.
With the ones when she's involved,
They use
it's like
tech.
it ends up just being like, hey, check this thing that wouldn't be possible against this other thing that wouldn't be possible, and find the one person, and then she does it. And it's like this.
Meg, have you ever watched Psych?
No.
Okay. So I think you need to watch Psych. So Psych is Criminal Minds, but funny with 80s and 90s pop references.
I probably like that.
It's
Yes, I
amazing.
would.
It's one of my
I would
favorite shows
love
of all
that.
time. And I do enjoy Criminal Minds a lot. Obviously, everyone's favorite character is Spencer Reed.
Obviously.
However, I also like JJ.
I
lot.
love Jerry. That's the other reason I got upset was that she left.
She
And
comes back.
That's good.
JJ
That's good
comes
to
back.
know.
See, I only remember Spencer and Garcia's names too.
Now, there's Hotch. We talked about Hotch
What
is
is
like
Hotch?
the one who's in
Yeah.
charge.
But I
Yeah.
don't remember his name when I.
And there was the other guy that was in charge before Hodge.
Well, it's funny because Hotch, to me, it's really funny to see him on Criminal Minds. You guys weren't alive or around. He was in a TV show called Dharma and Greg. And he was like this.
I mean, I know what
airhead.
Darman and Greg is. I watched.
Greg.
There was like one season, but I love that.
Right,
show.
yeah. So he was
He's like,
Greg.
I
So
forgot
it was
that he
so
was
weird
Greg.
that he like transitioned into like a serious character from being that goofy character. So it took me a couple years to like.
There's
Was
one
Greg the more
part.
serious of the two? Like.
Well, yeah,
Dharma
she
Dharma
was
like
totally
the
nuts,
earthy,
yeah.
like the quirky one.
There's one scene
Had
from that
violent
entire
energy.
show that has stayed with me, and I don't know what this says about me, but it's that Dharma loved Greg because he was also spontaneous and all this stuff, but in reality, that's not him. And she like finds out that like his like crazy sex that they would have, he like had a list like calendar and everything,
Yeah.
and I
Went
thought that
rated
was
R.
funny.
I like that. That's fine.
Look, I think that, having a calendar is perfectly fine. You
Yeah,
gotta
yeah,
get
no,
planned
it's
out.
fine. Sometimes you gotta plan, especially when you have kids.
Yeah.
You need to plan when you're going to drug them.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a new thing for keeping Klaus asleep. I'm really excited to try.
Alicia,
Hitting him on
I
that.
just want to really quickly say that we're live
Okay.
on
Yeah.
YouTube.
We're not live on YouTube. We're recording, John.
Oh,
I
thought
can
we were
cut this
doing
all
live.
out.
Oh, no,
You
you
said
don't.
not to do it live. You said
No, I thought
recording.
since Caleb, it's fine. I thought since Caleb said it was okay, we were going to
Probably
I don't
in
care.
zero
Go
phone.
ahead. So, what is your new methodology?
I think that we need to turn on the box fan because he keeps waking up every time anybody like steps on a creaky floor.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
This is more than a sex issue.
No,
It's a
I get it.
general
Yeah,
sleep
noise.
issue.
Sleep
Yeah.
issue. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
smart. Make noise in there so you can't wake up. Also, Alicia and I are going to be starting a podcast
Yeah.
that Meg's welcome to join. We're going to be talking about different things and how they relate to theology.
Probably not. I will not be
So
joining. I might listen.
it'll be
But-
pop culture theology tie-ins.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop whoop. Who knows? We're going to start that soon. We
We're
might
gonna
start on
have
the
to like
show.
bring books to the table,
Yeah,
like
we'll have our reference
Reference
material.
books.
Yeah. We talked about the other day, I think, Meg, were you here when we had the conversation about Bagger Vance?
I don't know.
So I was saying that the book Bagger Vance I
I was
found out.
trying to tell Caleb, but I couldn't remember the name.
Yeah, it's Bagger Vance.
No, the other name.
Bhagavad Gita.
Oh, you know what? I had my headphones on. I was
Yeah.
trying to finish something, and you guys were talking about something, so I put on my headphones.
Yeah, so this guy Stephen Pressfield is a writer. He wrote the book The Art on War, The
Okay.
War on Art.
The War on Art or the Art on War?
The Art of War is Sun Tzu.
Yes.
It's like very old.
Okay.
Stephen Pressfield's alive now. He wrote The War on Art.
Okay.
So basically, it's the struggles of actually creating art, like writing a book, being an artist, doing these things, and actually completing things. How difficult it is, and the inspirational elements behind it. It's a really, it's one of those books that artists read, and they're like, "This book changed my life."
Yeah.
So he wrote that book. He didn't get published. His first book didn't come out until he was like in his 50s, and now he's got a ton of. Now he's a fiction writer that got famous for writing a nonfiction book, which is hilarious. So he wrote this book called The Legend of Bagger Vance, which is a golf book that became a movie with Will Smith and Matt Damon.
Okay.
So he fell in love with the book, the Bhagavad Gita, which is like the Hindu Bible, right?
Okay.
So the Bhagavad Gita is a very small book that's in the geometric center of the Mahabharata, which is like all the ancient Hindu Vedic writings. And it's literally the dead middle of the book. So there's 700 verses. It's very small. They take it out and they made a book out of it. It's called the Bhagavad Gita. So the Bhagavad Gita is about Arjuna, who's this warrior. And the whole book is him having a conversation with Krishna, who's his charioteer. Krishna is God. So, and the Hindu god. So he's blue. So the whole, that's awesome. So the whole thought process of this book is that Arjuna, they're going to war. It's two families going to war against each other. And they're all related. They're cousins and brothers. And Arjuna is like this mighty warrior who's won all of these wars. And he gets to the middle of the battlefield and he has a crisis of faith where
He doesn't wanna
he
fight.
doesn't want to fight. And he thinks it's not right because what good is going to come out of this, of cousins and brothers and all fighting and everything. So the whole book is him talking to Krishna about why should I do this? How can I do this with this thing? And it basically comes down to Krishna basically says to him, like, stop being a pussy and just fight. There are times in life when there's right and there's wrong. So if you decide to put down your bow and not fight, this war will continue. All these people will die. And maybe the right people will win and maybe they won't. But it's a righteous war and you need to be on the right side of it. You're battling for good, not for evil. So you need to just pick up your bow and become the war. So he took the premise of the Bhagavad Gita, which is a beautiful book, and he made this book called Bagger Vance, which is the Bhagavad Gita. So he took his name and made it Bagger Vance, and it's about this golfer who has a crisis of faith. His caddy comes in and teaches him things. So it's cool. So stuff like that, Alicia and I are going to be talking about on our podcast now. It relates
That's super
to,
cool. What are you
yeah.
going to call your podcast?
I don't know.
What's the logo of your podcast? I'm going to look
I
like
feel
it.
like
Nice
that's
guy.
a you question.
Yeah.
Just didn't know if you had
Our
any.
podcast is going to be called "We All Have Our Own Real Doll Parts."
Dishwasher safe. Of course.
Dishwasher safe.
Well, if they're
So
silicone, of
Oh my god,
course.
that's what you should call your podcast. Dishwasher safe.
Dishwasher safe. I love this.
How theology ties into pop
Yeah.
culture.
Also,
awesome.
all sex toys should be food safe, so they should be able to go in the dishwasher, just
I
so
agree.
you know.
Fair.
It's a thing.
We'll talk about that maybe on our podcast. So anyway, that's it. This was a pretty long one for us. Anyway,
Well, I mean, we only 10, 15 minutes of it was Good Omens. We just
yeah. As per normal, if anybody would like a copy of Good Omens, the first person to comment in the YouTube comments, we will send you the book. So comment and we will reach out to you.
and John will sign it.
Whatever that means. We'll all sign it. Even Caleb, who's just here in spirit. So we will talk to you guys. We'll be doing Cujo in a few weeks. Thanks,
I'll write a
everyone.
haiku in the back of the book.
I like it. There you go.
Yeah,
You'll get a
that's
haiku.
what I'll do.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.